If you've been through a great divorce, that's the term for splitting up after 50, then you already know the gut punch. Somebody cut your retirement savings in half and basically said, good luck. And all of a sudden, retirement after divorce looks nothing like the plan you spent 30 years building. It's half the money, half the time to fix it, and the knot in your stomach that won't quit. I need you to hear me say this in the first 10 seconds. You are not as far behind as you think you are. There are 3 things the system actually owes you after a divorce that almost nobody tells you about. And one of them can put money in your pocket using your ex-spouse's work record. Stick with me because the difference between knowing this stuff and not knowing it can be tens of thousands of dollars over your retirement. Look, I'll be straight with you. This is a hard one. A lot of you are watching with 3 feelings at once. 1, fear, because the numbers are scary. 2, curiosity, because maybe there's a way through. And 3, a little grief, because you're not just rebuilding a budget, you're mourning a future you thought you had. And if that's you, you are in the right place, and there's nothing wrong with you. And I know these 3 feelings cold because I've been right where you are sitting. I got divorced at 45, and it left me financially wrecked. Starting over from near zero wrecked. And I'm 54 now, and I could tell you it's not over. Not because I read it in a book, but because I lived the comeback I'm about to walk you through. So here's the plan. And I'm not going to bury you in jargon to get there. First, we look at the scary math dead in the eyes together. Then, I hand you the 3 comeback tools, the Social Security secret that pays you off your ex's record, the right way to split the retirement accounts so you don't get robbed, and the catch-up moves that rebuild your savings faster than you'd believe. By the end, you'll know exactly what to do come Monday morning. One quick thing first. If you're going through this, drop your story in the comments, even 1 line. How old are you? What scares you most? Because the next person scared and scrolling at midnight needs to see that they're not the only one. That's how we get through this together. Okay, deep breath. Let's do the napkin math because the thing you're afraid of is usually smaller once it's out in the open. Gray divorce has doubled since 1990. So the first thing to know is you are absolutely not some rare cautionary tale. This is happening to a lot of people in their 50s and 60s right now. And here's the math that keeps people up at night. I'm going to use easy round numbers so we can both follow it. Say a couple has $600,000 in their retirement nest egg. Sounds like a lot, right? You divorce at 55, you split it down the middle. Now you've got $300,000. And let's say you need about $45,000 a year to live a modest, no-frills life. Watch how fast this goes. $300,000 divided by $45,000 a year is under 7 years of money. And Social Security doesn't even start until 62 at the earliest. That gap right there, that's the knot on your stomach. And now we've named it. And that gut punch lands harder for some than others, for women especially. After a later-in-life divorce, a woman's standard of living tends to drop about 45%, while a man's drops closer to 21%. So if you're a woman watching this video who feels like she got hit by a truck while her ex seems to be cruising along just fine, you're not imagining it, and you're not being dramatic. The data is sitting right there next to you. In the hardest hit group, women 63 and up faces a 27% poverty rate. That's higher than widows. Now here's the turn, because I'm not telling the men and women in my audience any of that to pile it on. I'm telling you because knowing where the deck is stacked is exactly how you stop it from stacking against you. And here's the thing they don't put in those scary articles. A huge chunk of that gap isn't about how much money you have. It's about what you know. The people who land softer after a divorce usually aren't richer. They just knew about these 3 tools that I'm about to give you. So let's go get to them. This is the one I want you to tell a friend about because almost nobody knows about it. If you were married for 10 years or longer, You can collect Social Security on your ex-spouse's record. Let me say that again because it sounds too good to be true. You can get a monthly check based on their earnings, up to half of their full benefit. And here's the kicker. It costs them nothing. It doesn't reduce their check by a single penny. It doesn't touch their new spouse's check. They will literally never know you did it. So if you're sitting there thinking, there's no way I can get anything from him after everything, or her, I was right there in that headspace too. But this isn't about them being generous. It's a rule. You earned it by being married a decade, and it's yours. Now let me hit the devil's advocate question you're already asking. Frank, what if my ex hasn't even retired yet? Am I stuck waiting on them? Great question. And here's the beautiful part. As long as you've been divorced for at least 2 years and you're both at least 62, you can claim on their record, even if they haven't filed yet. You don't need their permission. You don't need them to have to be retired. You don't need them to do anything. And one more, and this one's heavy, so I will say it gently. If your ex passes away, that benefit could step up to as much as 100% of what they were getting. Not half, the whole thing. As long as that 10-year marriage box is checked and you're 60 or older. Here's your homework on this one and write it down. The qualifier is 10 years of marriage. If you were married 9 years and change, this is the part where you talk to someone at Social Security about your specific situation. Because the details matter, and I'm a guy on YouTube, not your personal advisor. But if you hit 10 years, go to ssa.gov and look at this. It could be the single most valuable click you make this year. The ultimate payoff to the next one is this. Social Security is the income piece, but there's a pile of money sitting on those retirement accounts right now. And there's a right way and a very wrong way to split it. Get it wrong, and people lose half of what they were promised. Let's make sure that's not you. All right. This is the chapter where I save some of you a God-honest, painful mistake. So stay with me even though it has a very clunky name. When you split a 401k or a pension in a divorce, it does not happen automatically. I know the divorce papers say you get half, but the papers alone don't move the money. You need a separate document. It's got an ugly name, a QDRO, and all that stands for is a court order that tells the retirement plan to actually hand over your shares. That's it. That's the whole concept. A permission slip for the retirement account. And here's a mistake that costs people. The one I teased at the start. People walk out of the divorce thinking they're done, and the QDRO never gets filed. Years go by. Then they go to collect their half, and it was never set up. Sometimes the money's been spent. So if you take one action item from this whole video, it's this. Make sure the QDRO is actually filed and approved by the retirement plan. Not just signed, filed. This is a pay the specialist, it's worth every penny situation. Not a do-it-yourself at the kitchen table situation. Now here's a little gift hiding inside that but-ugly acronym, and it surprised me when I learned it. Normally, if you pull money out of a retirement account before age 59 and a half, the government slaps you with a 10% penalty on top of the taxes. But money that comes to you through one of these QDRO splits, the penalty is waived. It's basically the one time the system lets you touch retirement money early without that extra punishment. But, and this is a big but, devil's advocate time, penalty-free is not the same as tax-free. If you just cash it out, you'll still owe regular income tax on it. And worse, you've yanked money out of your retirement right when you need it to be growing the most. So the move most people are better off making is rolling it into your own retirement account and leaving it alone. But whether to take any of it in cash really depends on your situation. Please run that by a tax person before you do anything, and I mean that. And one quick trap to dodge. Everything I just said is for 401ks and pensions, the accounts through an employer. IRAs or IRAs split differently, different paperwork, different rules, and getting it wrong triggers taxes you didn't have to pay. So if there's an IRA in the mix, that's another ask the professional flag. I'd rather wave the flag than watch you lose money. Okay, income, handled, accounts, handled. Now the big one everybody thinks is impossible, actually rebuilding. Because I know what you're thinking. That's nice, Frank, but I'm 55 and starting from scratch. Let's talk about that because the math is friendlier than you've been told. This is my favorite part because this is where I'm too far behind usually falls apart once you see the real numbers. And remember, I'm not guessing here. When I started over at 45, this is the exact stuff I used to dig myself out. 9 years later, I'm still standing and still building. So if a wrecked, depressed as hell, starting from scratch version of me could do it, I promise you the runway is longer than the panic is telling you. The government has these things called catch-up contributions. Plain English, once you hit 50, they let you put extra money into your retirement accounts every year, more than younger folks are allowed to. It's like the fast lane opens up at the exact age you should start panicking, almost like it was designed for a person in your shoes. Here's what the fast lane looks like in 2026. In a 401k, once you're 50 or older, you can put in up to $32,500 in a single year. And here's the wrinkle most people have never heard. If you're between 60 and 63, there's a special super catch-up that bumps you up to around $35,750 a year. They saved the biggest shovel for people closest to the deadline. Now, I can already hear that devil's advocate voice. Frank, if I had 32,000 grand lying around, I would be watching this video. Fair, totally fair. And I want to be really clear, because the last thing I want is for a big number to make you feel worse. That 32,500 is the ceiling, not the assignment. It is not the bar you have to clear. Nobody is grading you. If all you can do is $200 a month right now, do the $200 because $200 a month beats zero by infinity. And I started beats I waited every single time. The number on the screen is just there to show you the runway is long. You've got more room than anybody told you. One thing worth understanding before we move on, the 401k match. Here's why so many people get excited about it. If your employer matches what you contribute, that's effectively a 100% return on that money the moment it goes in. When I was rebuilding, that's the piece I personally paid attention to first. But everybody's plan and situation is different. So look at what your own employer actually offers and figure out what makes sense for you. Quick gut check before the last piece, because there's one cost in all of this that ambushes people, and it's nothing to do with their retirement accounts at all. If you don't plan for it, it can blow up your whole budget in the first year. Let me show you it so it doesn't catch you. Real quick, because this one is very sneaky. If you are on your spouse's health insurance the day the divorce is final, you can lose that coverage. And if you're, say, 56, you are years away from Medicare at 65. That's a scary gap. So know your bridge options. You can usually stay on your ex's work plan for a while through something called COBRA. Plain English, keep the same insurance, but now you pay the full bill yourself, and it could last up to 36 months. But, write this down, there's usually a tight window, often around 60 days to sign up. Miss the window, you lose the option. The other bridge is the ACA marketplace. That's the government's health insurance website, healthcare.gov, which is how a lot of people cover themselves until Medicare kicks in at 65. I'm not going to pretend to pick your plan for you. That depends on your income and your meds and your state. But please, I urge you to put what happens to my health insurance on your divorce checklist before it's final, not after. That 60-day clock is real. So let's put it back together because look at how far we just came. The scary math, we named it. It's a gap, not a life sentence. Social Security on your ex's record if you were married 10 years. The QDRO, filed and approved, so you actually get your share. The catch-up fast lane, even if you start with $20. And the health insurance bridge, so nothing ambushes you. You walked in here feeling behind. I hope you're walking out with something better than a pep talk. Actual tools and the proof that you've got a lot more company than you thought. And look, I'm not here to hand you rose-colored glasses. This is still hard, and the road back takes time. But a plan beats panic every single day of the week, and now you've got the start to one. If this video helped you, do one thing. Subscribe, because here's what that actually gets you. Every week, I take this exact kind of late starter money stuff and break it down in plain English, so the next hard thing doesn't blindside you the way this one might have. That's the whole point of this channel. You don't have to figure it out alone anymore. Now, if this hits home, the very next thing you should watch is the one that started this whole conversation, the brutal reality of retiring single. Because everything we talked about today, the income, the rebuild, the mindset of starting over on one set of shoulders, that video is the bigger picture that this video fits inside. I'll see you over there, and don't forget, we're in this together.